Forward march. This is great.
It's bad, but it's work.
Good morning, everyone, or good evening, good night, good afternoon. Welcome to this year's ANZAC Day service. It makes me very proud to see so many different clans and so many different people from all around the world coming to remember those brave members of our armed forces who have served, are serving, and those who have unfortunately given their lives in the defense of their homelands. My name is Kruglak. I am one of the clan leaders of the 187th and the founder of the Sundial Initiative, and it is my pleasure and my honor to run today's service. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
We stand here this morning on Seavish land. We acknowledge the traditional owners and recognize their continuing connection to the land, waters, and culture. We pay respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. Before dawn, on the 25th of April 1915, the first soldiers of the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps landed on the shores of the Gallipoli Peninsula. The men were part of a British and French-led invasion. The Allies' mission was to destroy Turkish guns that were preventing naval ships from reaching and bombarding the Turkish capital of Constantinople. If they succeeded, Turkey might be forced out of the Great War, and Germany would lose an important ally. Some 2,000 Australians were killed or wounded on April 25th. It was a day of confusion and fear. One soldier called it a day of sorrow, as he remembered the dead and wounded. At Anzac Cove, the Australians were the first to land. The New Zealanders followed later in the day. They advanced about a mile in some places, less in others, but they could go no further. For the next 8 months, the campaign was a stalemate. In December, the Anzacs were evacuated. By then, about 8,700 Australians and almost 2,700 New Zealanders had been killed. There were some of at least 130,000 soldiers on both sides who had lost their lives at Gallipoli. ANZAC Day has been one of the most important dates in Australia and New Zealand's calendars since 1916. At first, it gave people a chance to honour the original Anzacs, the Australians and New Zealanders who had fought at Gallipoli. Then it became a day for those who had served in the First World War. With Australians experiencing the Second World War, and wars, conflicts, and peacekeeping operations that have followed, ANZAC Day has become an occasion to honour all who have worn our country's uniforms in service. Today we reflect on that service. We recognise more than 100,000 Australian and New Zealand servicemen and women who have lost their lives in military operations carried out in our country's names. We honour the values that have been invested in the original Anzacs: loyalty, selflessness, courage, and the ways in which later generations have measured their own achievements against those of the soldiers who fought in Gallipoli. If this was a real-life service, we would be laying wreaths of flowers at the base of the flags of our nations. Unfortunately, we don't have that in Foxhole. Devs, please. I will now recite the Ode of Remembrance, and then I will invite those members of the audience who wish to speak. I will give them their chance. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
If there's anyone in the audience that would like to come and say a few words, please make your way to the stairs at the bottom of the stage. Kami,
Right.
you have the stage.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good night, good afternoon, wherever in the world you are from. My name is Kami Nokoe, and I am from Israel. Actually, we have an ANZAC memorial in Israel as the Australian horsemen fought in the First World War in the Battle of Beersheba, and they were probably one of the most brave units that have fought in the battle and charged the Turkish and the German lines. Furthermore, our own Jewish brigade fought in Italy together, shoulder by shoulder, with the ANZAC forces during the Second World War. All the stories I have heard from different people who are not with us anymore, as they all fought in those battles during their youth, all they have told me about the ANZAC forces is that they were some of the bravest and fiercest men they have ever had the privilege of fighting with. So, from all the Israeli armed forces, I thank you, ANZAC.
And ANZAC thanks you. Xandros, you have the stage.
Thanks, mate. G'day, everyone. Hope your morning or evening around the world has been great. I'm here today as part of ANZAC Day commemorations here in Foxhole on behalf of the 82nd Dread Corps as our Australian officer to give a few words. So, as mentioned, there has been many peacekeeping operations, wars and conflicts fought by Australian soldiers and New Zealand soldiers from respective eras. So, I'd like to remember, thank, and commemorate those soldiers who have fought in those conflicts and wars, peacekeeping operations, and remember those who laid down their lives, gave the ultimate sacrifice to preserve both our nations and nations around the world. Now, I would also like to invite Webby up to the stage, who's going to say a few words on behalf of, behalf of himself and what he wants to say. So if you want to come up here, mate.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jack Webster, formerly a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. I felt like I should come up and say a few words due to the long history not only my nation has had with the people of Australia and New Zealand, but specifically the organization of the United States Marine Corps. Anybody who knows a lot about history know that we've fought side by side with ANZAC forces through much of our history, and it's often one of the biggest parts about military service is the sense of family you get, and it's not a family that you get from blood relations or anything. It's simply generated by the willingness to share burden, and that's something that we've shared with ANZAC forces throughout our history, and likely continues. That I'd like to thank members of ANZAC and show appreciation today on behalf of past and hopefully future times when we stood together in defense of shared ideas and our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Nate, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah,
Come on up, stage is yours.
thank you very much. Morning, gentlemen. My name's Nate. I head up the Australian division in Sigma. It's quite new. I just wanted to say thank you, Kruglak, and everyone else who organised this. It's really special. I haven't been able to get to an ANZAC Day service in a long time because I've got little kids, so I don't really want to leave the house early and leave it all to my wife to deal with. But this has been really great. I'd just like to say, you know, most Australians have grandfathers, great-grandfathers, uncles, etc., who did fight myself included, on both sides of the war. So I just want to say thank you again. This is really great.
Thank you for being here.
Most welcome.
Did anybody else want to say any words?
I'm British, I guess I could say a few things. I'm not
Come
on the
on up.
stage currently, but I'll come running over.
Stage is yours, Red.
Thank you. So, obviously we have a very storied history with the Aussies and the New Zealanders being a British person, and it goes back quite a long way. But I like to think that through all of it, when times have been hard, and when push came to shove, we've all been there, shoulder to shoulder, fighting for common ideals, making sure that people are protected, making sure that people are safe, and more importantly, just showing some kind of brotherhood. Even if it's not a Commonwealth thing, it's still, you know, we're all human, and at the end of the day, if people are in trouble, I wouldn't say it's a moral duty to help, but I would say it's a moral duty to care about it, and have some kind of compassion for those that have served. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to take a shot at saying something?
Sure, if I may. I'm Tartan Glen.
Yep, come right up.
I'm not speaking on behalf of my country, but rather my own ancestry. Both my grandfathers fought with the Australians and the New Zealand in the course of their lives. My father's father fought in the First World War in the Middle East alongside the ANZACs themselves. And my grandfather on my mother's side actually had members of the Australian Air Force and the New Zealand Air Force in his Lancaster over Germany. And I have to say, this is the first ANZAC Day I've ever been invited to. And I'm very privileged to be here, especially to remember the servicemen who fought alongside my own ancestors. So once again, thank you to all of you.
Thank you for being here. Now that concludes the speech portion of today's ceremony. We will now conduct a 2-minute silence, as is tradition for these ANZAC Day dawn services. The moment of silence will be broken by the sounding of a bugle, playing The Last Post, which is a song used to signal the end of the day and call soldiers to rest. Our 2-minute silence begins now. Thank you, everyone, for participating in that moment of silence. We will now begin a 21 shell salute for the departed. Battery ready. Loaders ready.
Yeah.
21 shell. Barrage. Commence firing. Firing complete. Crew dismount. Join the rank. That concludes today's ANZAC Day service. Thank you to each and every one of you for participating. Thank you to our guest speakers who said a few words. Thank you to our artillery crew for their salute.
Sweet.
Let's spam that
Company-
salute, boys.
All right.
Company
That's a pretty
dismissed.
good one.
Kill some collies!
Alright, we can kill each
Alright,
other now.
party
Come
on
quick, hop
stage,
in the
party
tank.
on stage,
Everybody
let's
freaking-
go.
Everybody freaking hop in the tank.